My name's Ben Campbell. I work for the Legal Centres Trust, and I've been doing the journalistic website. And I haven't really sort of prepared a talk as such, so I don't really know what people are interested in hearing about, so you're welcome to ask questions, and I'll just explain roughly what it is and how it works and how it's going. Journalist is it's basically a website that's designed to keep track of journalists and with the ultimate goal of sort of making them more accountable for what they write. If you've seen They Work For You for MPs, basically the original idea was to do something like They Work For You, but for journalists. Sorry?
Flourish 01.
Okay.
I think it's guest Cat G as well, somewhere.
That's just on the, I think he already has the right, I think, network. Didn't a minute ago. Should it? No?
Look, I'm just gonna leave the computer because you guys all got computers, you know how they work. You can look it up. Okay, journalisted. I mean, how many people have seen the site? Right. Well, I mean, you know roughly what it does, basically. I mean, the way it works, it basically goes out to the websites of all the national newspapers in the UK, or most of them, and each day just takes a list of all the articles that get written, tries to identify for each article the headline, the byline, the publishing date, and it indexes the text and does a little bit of analysis to try and extract useful terms out of the text and things like that. It also tries to do a few other things like to look for other information about journalists, so say Wikipedia bios or biographies on, say, commenters free on the Guardian site, that kind of thing. And there's a lot more sources that we'd like to add. It's just a matter of sort of going through and doing it. Other information we collect is people who are referencing news articles. So if people blog about a news article, try and identify blogs that link to a particular news article and count the number of comments that are posted in various places, and if articles are sort of bookmarked on Delicious or Reddit or Dig or anything like that. The idea is just to try and collect all this information to one place so we can. Our particular interest is the journalists, so we want to take this information, aggregate it, so we can present, here's this journalist, this is what he's done, and here's some sort of rough, sort of objective, sort of machine-calculated facts about this journalist. We're not really interested in doing anything that's kind of subjective or could be, subject to interpretation. We're not going to say, well, this journalist writes rubbish and this was a charlatan. We just can't do that. We have to try and stick to the cold hard facts. But we will provide APIs and ways to get the data out that mean that other people can do sites that want to, slag yourjournalist.com.
Have you gotten any reaction from journalists?
Yes. This is basically success stories. We've got a few little success story things, and my favourite one is we got a really nasty letter from a music journalist, and she was really annoyed because she had lost an interview with a prominent musician, because the musician had gone to our website, looked up her page, and seen that she'd done a hatchet job on other musicians. And I think this is absolutely fantastic. It's exactly how we want people to use the site. Another similar sort of example is there was a military, like a forum, online forum for sort of ex-service people or people in services. It wasn't an official military site, but a journalist sort of went onto the site saying, "Oh, writing some stories. I'm not want to. Does anybody have any stories they'd like to talk about combat trauma?" And somebody on the site sort of looked up her page and posted a link to it. Said, "Look, she just writes tittle-tattle and gossip and stuff. Don't touch it with a barge pole." And it's just really nice that I think journalists are probably a little bit used to not leaving any kind of permanent record. I think it's something that just most newspaper websites have had really bad search mechanisms in the past, and so stories just kind of get published, and that's it. They fall off the radar, and you don't ever have to be accountable for the story. If you flip-flop and change your position, whatever, it just doesn't really get picked up, and that's one of the things we're trying to address.
How are you actually scraping and gathering the material then?
Well, I've just got a set of programs that basically just screen scrape newspaper websites.
Right.
Mostly I use RSS
and then store it
feeds.
under the byline. Is that how you sort of tag it?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty annoying because most websites are not very good for getting machine readable information out, which is the whole thing about this value-added news that's being launched. So I have to write a separate program for each newspaper, and often different sections of the newspaper are handled differently. They'll have blogs on a separate website altogether or something like that. That goes through the format and says, right, well, I know that headlines are always written in this font, and this section of things probably the article text, but this bit's probably an advert and that kind of thing.
So that'll never break.
It breaks less than you think, actually. I think it's because people are fundamentally lazy and they don't want to change their websites unless they have to. But yeah, I mean things break from time to time, and it requires a bit of maintenance.
But the point Martin was making in the last section, everything's automatically generated, so
yes,
automatic out, then automatic back into your system.
Exactly.
So you just need the API for the Guardian's content management system.
Yeah. I mean the way the Guardian's going, for example, is the way I like to see all newspapers go.
Right, and that was our serious question: is do you expect that maybe newspapers would allow you to talk directly to their?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I mean, once you start using the word screen scraping, then it's all a little bit, shaky anyway. But yeah, I mean, we're very careful. We're never going to, start publishing text of articles or things like that. I mean, that's we just can't do that. It really is just analysing stuff.
If a journalist works for lots of different publications, which of those do you decide is the definitive biographical detail that you would use, for example? I mean,
Well,
how would you get
we don't really. I mean, on the journalist page, it will just say, we've seen articles from the journalists from these 5 organisations or whatever.
So do you link a given name? Because there could be more than one
Yes,
journalist
I
with
mean,
the same name.
that's a big problem. We don't really have any way of addressing that at the moment.
But I guess what I'm asking is, do you have one name and here's all of the places that one name appears, or do you say this is this one name in a given publication and it'll all be different?
Oh yeah, no, it's all keyed by journalists. So you go to the journalist page and here's everything they've written regardless.
Across all
all
publications?
organisations.
So you're assuming everybody's the same?
Yeah.